Hey guys, it's Katie, and today I'm going to be answering 40 questions about my college, NYU. I'm about to graduate next week, so I'm really excited to share what I've learned there over the past 4 years with you guys. I'm a film and television production major at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, and I have a minor in entertainment business focusing on TV, movies, and music business. I chose NYU because it was kind of my dream school. It's one of the best schools in the world for film and TV production, so obviously with me going into that field, it was a dream to get in there. I'm so happy that I chose NYU. I actually applied there early decision, so I didn't really have a choice because I had to go once I got in. New York City has been a blast. I've gotten so many opportunities that if I hadn't gone to NYU and lived in New York City, I would never have gotten to do. Like, I was able to model in a Glamour and Allure video, which was insane, and I've gotten to work with a lot of my favorite artists by interning at Sony Music, so I'm really thankful to NYU and New York City for providing me with these opportunities. My favorite thing about NYU is probably being in New York City, and also Tisch just in general. All the facilities they have there are incredible. They provide you with equipment when you're doing classes. My favorite place on campus is probably the Tisch building because you bump into everybody you know there. Like, literally, even if you're trying to avoid people, which I do sometimes if I have to do work, I'll end up bumping into people I know everywhere, and it's a really welcoming community. It's a beautiful building, and also the Hungry Ghost there, which is the cafe, is really good. The dining hall food is pretty good. I'd probably rate it around like an 8 out of 10. There's a Chick-fil-A and Jamba Juice in one of the dining halls, but the food is pretty good for the most part. But you're also in New York City, so it's a great place to go out and explore and try new foods and new places. I think the best dining hall on campus is Kimmel, which is right next to Washington Square Park, so it's very convenient. And they have a lot of different rotating foods. My favorite thing that they used to have was this noodle bar where they'd make you like your own lo mein. The best place to go for a late night snack on campus would probably be to Sidestein. We have a dorm that's called Weinstein, and in Weinstein there's 2 dining halls and a little market. So there's Upstein, which is where we have the Chick-fil-A and the Jamba Juice. Downstein is like a normal dining hall, and then Sidestein is the market. So they're open until midnight. So I go there and they have this thing called Freels, which are like milkshakes that you can make. So that's probably my favorite place on campus. My favorite late night place off campus would be Halal Guys. So good. I was in the ballet club because I was a dancer my whole life, so that was really fun. They provided free classes on Sundays. There is Greek Life at NYU. I am not in it. The percentage of people in Greek Life at NYU is kind of small. It's more of like a side thing. My boyfriend is in a frat, so I got to go to a lot of the frat parties and a lot of the formals, so that was really fun. But Greek Life isn't really for me, but I did enjoy going to his events. More people definitely party off campus because it's New York City. I mean, there's like clubs and bars literally on every corner, but there are a lot of parties on campus, but you have to be kind of careful because you don't want to get written up by an RA. I used to have a lot of parties at my apartment, lots of themed ones. For the majority, people go out to party because it's New York City, you know. People probably go out at NYU 3 or 4 times a week just because it's New York City and you can literally go out any night that you want and there will be a scene somewhere. A typical party outfit is like all out. People wear crazy stuff. It's New York City, so this is something that I would wear to a party. Parties go pretty late. I know at my apartment we've had parties go until 3 or 4 a.m. and also clubs and bars don't close until like 4 a.m. in New York, so you can really go all night. I think there's 4 libraries on NYU's campus in Manhattan and Brooklyn, but the main library is Bobst Library, which is off of Washington Square Park. Very convenient, it's huge. I've only been there a few times, but they do have like a formal dance there every year, so it's kind of fun to go there and be able to drink and party instead of study like you normally do. But it is also a social place, depending on what floor that you go to study on. My favorite place to study on campus would probably be at Kimmel, which the views there are insane. It's right on Washington Square Park. So at NYU, a lot of people dress up for class because it is New York City. You never know who you're going to bump into on the street. You might have an event to go to right after class. For the most part, the classes are small, especially at Tisch. I know the average classes tend to be around 8 people to 20-ish people because they like to keep the arts classes smaller. My favorite class I took ever at NYU was Television Production Sight and Sound, where you work in one of the TV studios that Tisch has on the top floor, and it's like a full-on TV studio. There's a control room. If you're the director, you're telling the, people what camera to switch to when you're live editing. You've got audio people on 3-camera setup, moving it around. You have to set up the lights. There's a whole stage that you set up, so it's really fun. The hardest class I took at NYU was probably econ, just because econ is not my thing. My mom made me take it as a gen ed. It's not required for film students, but I'm glad I took it because I feel like I know more about the real world now. The strangest class that I know of at NYU is one that I actually took. I took Pirates and Buccaneers, which was really interesting. It was like the history of pirates. As a film student, your homework is different. It's a lot of like preparation for films that you're working on. It could go anywhere from an hour to like 5 hours, depending on if your shoot is coming up like that weekend. The dating culture at NYU versus the hookup culture, it's probably like 50-50. When you first start out, normally people are not in relationships, but they do get in them, and it's nice to have somebody to be with. I started dating my boyfriend junior year, and I think that was a good time for us to be together, and we had a lot of fun. And he's here now with me during quarantine at my house, so we're still together. The sports teams at NYU were definitely not Division I. The teams are pretty good. I've gone to a bunch of hockey games, which is always fun because they play at Chelsea Piers, so you're down by the water. NYU doesn't really have a campus. I would define the campus being all the buildings that are basically around Washington Square Park, so we've kind of taken over Washington Square Park. For the most part, I stay in that area. Lipton Hall is a freshman-only dorm, and I was lucky enough to get that my freshman year. It's brand new on Washington Square Park. Amazing views. I will never get a better location like that in my entire life unless I pay like millions of dollars for rent. So for upperclassmen, I think the best dorm is Gramercy Hall. It's a little bit farther away. It's like 20-25 minutes walk from Washington Square Park to Graham, but it's incredible. There's like floor-to-ceiling windows. I feel like most people move off campus after freshman or sophomore year. I moved off campus after sophomore year because it's cheaper than living in the dorms, and also it's New York City, so you can literally live wherever you want and get to class still by taking the trains. I would say a lot of people do study abroad. Typically people study abroad their junior year. I did not study abroad because I wanted to take classes at Tisch. You see a ton of celebrities on campus just because it's New York City, but I've seen Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner, which is really cool. I got a picture with Joe. I've seen Amy Adams, I've seen Colin Jost on the street, the Vamps, who I love, Lady Gaga. I'm actually in the background of her documentary that's on Netflix because she walked by me, which is pretty funny. And Spike Lee teaches at Tisch, so I've been in the elevator with him a bunch of times. He's really cool. Our campus is definitely really diverse because we are in New York City, but also NYU in general is a very diverse school. There's stuff for everybody, so it's really awesome. You can meet people from all over the world. Most of the time graduates do leave with jobs, but because of coronavirus, that is not happening right now. So for me, being a film student, I do not have a job because most of the entertainment jobs are not happening right now. So if anybody knows of any job openings, let me know. If I could change one thing about NYU, it would probably be so that there's a way to get to classes when it's snowing, so you don't have to walk through the snow, just because it can be really cold and kind of brutal when you're walking to class. Branch out, meet all different types of people from all over the place, try all the different opportunities that are given to you, and you'll be successful at NYU. I love being in New York City. I think NYU's like main charm obviously is being in New York City, but it is such an incredible place to live. It really does feel like you are just living in New York City and you're going to classes. NYU is definitely cliquey just because it is such a big school. Like, you do have your groups of friends, but also I have lots of different groups of friends, so it's not like I'm always with the same people, you know, and it's really easy to branch out because you have to take different gen eds and different classes. One of my parties was the best party I've ever been to because we did 80s theme, and like probably 80 or 100 people showed up to our tiny apartment, but it was a lot of fun. Most people dressed in theme. We listened to 80s music. It was awesome. It was a great time. Another great party that I've been to that's more like NYU. My boyfriend's frat parties are really fun because they have a rooftop, so darties are really nice, and one of their formals, they rented out a couple rooms at the Playboy Club for us, which is insane. I think NYU chose me because I had a background doing lots of different things. I did a lot of traveling community service. I did lots of things in high school, including dance and video. I definitely think you should apply to NYU if you're interested in going to school in a city. New York City is incredible, NYU is incredible. I've had the best time there. I've learned a lot. Also, if you're interested in film or anything in the arts, I think it's a great school for that. It's one of the best in the world. So definitely apply if you're into that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up to let us know that you did. All of our social media is down below. If you have any other questions about NYU, feel free to message me on any social media. I'll gladly answer them for you. And yeah, so see you guys next week. It's Katie.
And Abby.